chat. Again, we're at the Good at Heart Festival honoring Anne Frank and her life and work. We have a ton of, before I get to my guests, I want to make sure I shout out the good work that Open Stage is doing with the Good at Heart Festival. On March 14th, 15th, 15th to 17th at 9:45 a.m. So you have one more chance. Is that tomorrow? Friday, sorry. To see the Diary of Anne Frank presented at the Scottish Rite Theatre in Harrisburg. We also have 14, 15, and 17 Friday. Lillian Rappaport, a Holocaust presentation at the Scottish Rite in Harrisburg. The only thing about this iPad is I can't get down to the rest. And then we also have, oh, here it goes. I found it. We have at March 16th, which is tomorrow, right? The Who Are We? A Chronicle of Racism in America presented at the Midtown Cinema Harrisburg. I actually sat on the panel for that last year. Stuart said it was last year, and I was like, it feels like it was 5 years ago, but it was definitely last year. Wow. I know. March 17th to 26th, Ann and Emmett presented at Open Stage. It is a one-act play with 2 persons. Is that right?
There's 5.
5 persons, okay. And they go through Ann and Emmett's story, fictional conversations between Ann and Emmett to kind of contrast the situations. March 18th at 6 p.m., I'll be here for this. The Instructive View presented at Open Stage. The Instructive View, the guest host will be Andrea of the Elementary Coffee. I'm very excited to have them. I know!
It's exciting!
I'm very excited!
I love it.
One of my favorite people in the world. And March 19th at 7:30 p.m. at the Heart of Justice, a conversation with Una Martone and Joe Robertson presented at Open Stage. So there's a lot more to the Good at Heart Festival that you should definitely be taking part of. Right now we have a panel with my 3 amazing guests. Did you enjoy these guests? Yeah, they were pretty good. I want to just, kind of round us out with a little conversation. So the 3 of you are here. And both Ona and Brandon are lifers. They've been here for their entire lives. You've been here for over 20 years.
I have.
I'm the baby of the group. I've only been here. We've been here for, 12 years, babe? Yeah. Yep. So I want to know how you guys have seen issues of social justice change over the time that you've been in this area.
It's frustrating.
Well, go first.
I honestly don't know that they have. I mean, I'm, I guess, comforted by the fact that it seems that more of the residents, more of the people who speak out are more aware. But if you're talking about the structures, like at the local level, I've not noticed a whole lot of change, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And that is something that I think I hear a refrain of. A lot of people will say, as much as things change, they stay the same. Yeah. And so you revolve around the same structural issues so much that you kind of feel like you're in a rut. You're fighting the same injustices. This Stops Today Harrisburg, for example, they've been fighting against police killings since the 1980s. Wow. And they have been very much in my ear going, things have not changed. They say the same, and we thank you, but let me tell you the history, which I'm appreciative of because it makes them feel, I think, from a forward glance, like, wow, this shit is still ridiculous. But it also comforts me because I'm like, okay, I'm joining the fight with people who've been doing it before.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Just so important to do.
Yeah. Anyone else? How do you see this landscape changing over the time you've been here?
I mean, I think, currently looking at Harrisburg City Council, it's like all people of color right now, right? Which I think is an encouraging move. But what I also think Brandon said is true, which is like, there are a lot of more people activated to social justice issues. Like, as time moves on, the community moves on, and we become more inclusive, and we get new ideas, we get better ideas, and we want to move them forward. And the thing we're always up against is this, like, machine, right? And the Harrisburg area is unique. We're the capital city. Yeah. So the people in power of our local government also are in other seats of power. Yes. They're also, like, have their hands in other buckets. And so I think that also like constrains a little bit of an ability to progress forward. When you were talking about Lancaster, right, and the way that their city is set up and the way that there are bike lanes and the way that they are being more responsible, it's almost like if we weren't the capital city, we'd have the availability to
And that is what people say. They say a lot of the resources don't go to the residents of the city. That's a big complaint by residents.
There are structural things in place because of tax base is so small here because many of the residents are not resourced. So the money for the city comes from the government, the state, Commonwealth's real estate, and that's a large check that comes every year. So that impacts things very adversely.
Plus all the nonprofits and churches that don't pay taxes in the city.
Exactly.
I will say to Ona's point that I do want to give credit. I mean, not only do you have a more diverse council, you have a few more like progressive voices. It's going to take a lot more though to start to overact some of the entrenched power structures, like some of the pieces of the Reed machine that are still around. I don't know if I should name names of.
You can if you want.
But like, I mean, until like the Piancas don't hold like a massive amount of power.
Ooh, the
like,
Piancas.
like, we're not going to go anywhere quick. Like, we need a council that is not beholden to them. We need a mayor who isn't trying to be Steve Reed again, just less competently. So, yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
There is some value to having folk from outside who are committed come in and do the work, because there are structures in place that I've learned.
Yeah.
People that know people, this is the way it's always been, this is who has the power, this is how it's done. And me not being from here, I don't know that. I just ask the questions and show up and connect with people that want to connect with me to do good work.
Yeah.
Having an ideology and having principles is also important. There's nothing more that I hate than a candidate who wants to hold an office because they think they'd be good at it, as opposed to because here's the work I want to do, and if I can't do that, then vote me out.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I think this election shaping up to be interesting.
It is shaping up to be.
They're always interesting. They're not always good, but they're always interesting.
Okay, so let's just throw this one out there. How surprised are we that Wes did not run again for city council?
I just found that out
I
about 5
think I
minutes
told
ago.
Brandon
Yeah.
before the show started.
Okay.
So I was about,
okay.
what? Surprise? Because what?
'Cause what?
Yeah.
I don't know if I was surprised that Wes decided not to run for city council again. I wasn't actually surprised. It was like a little alarm, ooh, but like I was like really surprised, right? You know, it wasn't pee my pants surprise.
Right.
So
There are 8 people running to fill these 3 council seats.
there are a lot of people running for city council, and that's one thing about Harrisburg. There's no shortage of people with their hand up, ready to go. Not all of them should be, and I'm not going to name names.
We're not gonna name names on that one.
There might be people already in office that maybe should have been Batman or something else. Something else.
I need the list of all 8 because I could probably name 2 because they always run, but I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carry the one. Yeah.
There's one of them that will run for anything.
For anything.
That was it.
And get votes.
Oh, I hope I
which
get
makes me
votes,
so
Lori. I hope I get votes.
But that's a part of the political machine,
It
right?
is.
Is
It
that
is.
there are people who are connected because of family connections, which we
Yes.
see a lot of in
Yes.
Harrisburg area.
Yes.
That know how to play the system, and
Yes.
they maybe never showed up and gave a comment at a council meeting. Never showed up and like gave a public comment anywhere.
Never.
But then they put their name in the running to be on the thing, right? And it's like we need more people who are the people who show up. We need more people who are the people like Brandon who are giving speeches at city council meetings that need to be had, right? Like those are the people that we should be looking for to make change because they have a plan. They came all the way down here on their own time to tell it to you.
That's right.
You know, and
And have the audacity to be photographed
That's right.
and say
And
something.
recorded.
And recorded to the audience who can
And-
say anything back to
and
them.
speaking directly into the
Yes.
mic.
Period.
Yes.
Is this thing on? Because
Yeah.
I was used to be real loud in there too. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was since we're coming out of a pandemic, we know that, and I think except for you, Kevin, we were very involved in together, I should say, in a lot of social justice issues during the pandemic. We were heavily involved. We had our very own, like, close to home social justice issue that happened. So coming out of a pandemic when the world is begging to get back to normal, what do you all think social justice is going to look like in the next couple of quarters of 2023 and beyond as the world, quote unquote, is there such a thing as getting back to normal, and what does social justice look like?
I think it's going to be much more creative than it was before because we now know these tools work. We know how to be connected in multiple ways. It's not just getting a space and getting people in the room. You can get folk on Zoom for one part of it, get folk in the room for another part of it, have something recorded, respond to it, come back together.
That's right.
These are all tools we know are at our fingertips. We're not going to slow our roll. That's my optimistic view.
I appreciate that.
I mean, I think that, like, when you use the term coming out of a pandemic, I think about all the people that came out to the streets at the beginning of the pandemic for social justice, and how many people, and I always tell you, they laced up their dock shoes and they put on their Bermuda shorts, and they marched in the street because they were working from home and they had the time.
And they had the time.
And they had the time.
I like that.
And
on my lunch break, I will be marching.
and
Yes.
now what we've seen is like the aftermath of like wages are still stagnant.
Yes.
People are working all the time because we learned to do a lot more things virtually. A lot more is asked of people, right? So capacities feel lower, and I
They
think
feel exponentially lower.
they feel exponentially lower.
Me too.
And I feel that like coming out of this is like we have this like surge of energy, and it's like how do we like recapture that again? And it's almost like these moments happen in flashpoints, right? And we're just waiting for the next one.
Absolutely right.
I don't know. I kind of hope that, I think you're absolutely right, that these things go into flashpoints, but that each flashpoint hopefully moves things just a little bit. Like the one thing that I think we did learn from this pandemic was exactly who they don't care about, exactly who they'll let die. I mean, when they said that,
Ding.
you know, yeah, we've lost 1 million people, lost a whole lot of grandmas, some kids, but look, the economy has to be open, man. I mean, like, look, I know you're dying, but please understand, I have a 401k, and you need to respect that.
We
So,
had a person who runs a Facebook group in this community, one of the Midtown groups, as far as I'll say, who literally wrote missives about how he would let his parents die if COVID was a thing, because maybe it was their time to go. And we tried to rationalize this away. And I'm reading this going, we as a society we have idolized youth and youth again. We're trying to age backwards
Affluence.
all the fucking time, right? Like we're trying to do all that shit. That we would be like, well, you're 70 something. If it's you or keeping the fucking country open, you gotta go.
and I mean, the other thing that will give me hope is if you've talked to these kids, like, I mean, you know, we're different ages, but you know, I'm 42, and like, when I talk to 20-year-olds, like, they're more radical. It took me decades to get as radical as some of these 18-year-olds because they see that, you know, inflation is a joke. Like, these companies are just charging more. That, you know, they're not going to be given anywhere near the American dream that their grandparents were.
Right.
That they were not going to, like that. I don't have a whole lot of hope. For me, I don't need hope to do the work. I do the work because it keeps me sane. But honestly, looking at that gives me hope. Like, I'm like, yo, they don't have to have the wool pulled off their eyes. They were born without it. They
That's
were
right.
already given. They see where the climate's going, and they're like, you know, I grew up thinking like I'm gonna be 80 before this stuff hits. They're like, oh, it's hitting now, and I'm 14.
hitting now.
Like, I'm not gonna make 50 if it gets like this. So.
Yep. So, last question. Let's play. Okay.
Oh.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Yeah.
I'm so competitive. Get ready.
Is it
I
the more?
All right.
suck at spades.
I will tone it down for you know.
Is it spades?
I suck at
It's
spades.
gotta be dominoes. I can't
All
say
right.
straight. Yeah.
I'm so
for
worried.
it could be city, state, county, regional, nation. Who are we sending to hell?
Oh, Lord.
Who are we saving? Because we had to send people to hell. So that's the way we're doing. Who we sending to hell? Who do we have hope in? And who we were like, man, I don't know. But if you do a thing, we might support you. So who were like, you have no fucking hopes. Go to hell. Who are we like, we have all the hope in you. You are gonna go far. And who are we like on the fence about? I would do like marry, fuck, kill, but it's not as
I was
fun.
gonna say.
It's my modified version.
Yeah. Also, that could be harassment in this
Correct.
day and age. We're moving
Harassment.
forward. Now we send people to hell.
That's right.
Who would I send to hell? I'm just gonna start, just because I want to send somebody to hell right
Period.
now. I want to send, I'm gonna tell you what, and I hate to say it, but I would like to send Joe Biden, Joseph Robinette Biden,
Send his ass to hell.
to hell.
Yeah, let's send
And
him.
I'd like to send him to hell because, he's approving drilling projects that are going to just destroy our climate even more. He's ignoring massive train, railroad, disasters. And he is giving lip service to progressivism without, the harm he's doing in some ways is always faster than the good he's doing. All the
Absolutely.
new infrastructure spending is going to take 10 years to start really getting there.
Absolutely.
But we'll approve those drilling permits
Real fast.
real fast.
Yeah.
So that's who I'm sending to hell. Who am I keeping?
keep?
Who am I keeping? It's hard to say. I'm keeping everyone here.
Yay, that's a good thing.
I'd like to
that.
keep the audience, and I'd like to keep these
love
illustrious
this.
guests that I'm
That's a
keeping.
good
us.
thing.
Keep
That's
us.
a good
We are
thing.
the people who are going to make the good change, and I'm keeping us. And who I'm on the fence about, every single one of these Harrisburg City Council candidates that's running for office right now.
I am side-eyeing everybody.
I'm on the fence, so that's mine.
I'm on the fence.
Let me piggyback on the first one, because I have to say, as much as there was a few good things in the infrastructure bill and the whatever, so much of it is the ridiculousness of we have to reimagine. I'm gonna stay on brand. So much of it's like we're gonna reimagine climate change and emissions, and so we're gonna move to electric vehicles, and instead of smaller, more manageable vehicles, electric bikes or tricycles or very small cars, it's these god awful electric F650s that have literally, and this is a number I looked at, the amount of batteries that that takes to make one of those, you can make 400 electric bikes.
Oh, shit.
And this is what we're going for. We're going to replace the same structures that have ruined this country, the same suburban experiment that has failed, the same highway system. We're going to say, no, it's okay, it's batteries now, because mining lithium isn't harmful. Only fossil fuels are. So really frustrating. There was a subsidy
Extremely.
for e-bikes initially proposed. It would have been too popular, because instead of giving 10,000 for a massive electric vehicle, if you'd have offered 1,000 for an e-bike, you'd have given Americans free e-bikes, and everyone would have gotten one.
Everyone
The
would.
roads would have changed. Life would have changed,
But what
they cut
about
it.
cars, Brandon?
Yeah, Ford was not happy with that.
Industry and this.
Don't take away my cars.
But so while we're sending someone to hell, I just want to just pile on, throw a few more bricks
I like
on
it.
the
I like that.
Yep.
Who are we keeping? Brandon probably gonna keep nobody, but let's see.
I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about,
Wait a minute. Did you shave to come on the show? Did you clean it up under here?
oh no, this is this used to be much longer. I've had to go back to state hospitals after the
Oh,
new
okay.
year, so I have
I was
to go
like,
to put
it
on
looks
the 995. But thank you. Yeah, I brought it down from the big scraggly mountain man.
I like big scranny man.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll say keeping a couple on the national stage were promising. Fetterman and Kenyatta got in. I was
Absolutely.
pretty excited about that. So
And Summer Lee.
yeah, and so again, this is kind of like city council where there are a few progressives, and my God, if we could get enough to make at least even a decent caucus, let alone a majority. Can you imagine what we could do?
Absolutely.
So that's I guess I'm keeping, and
Who are you on the fence about?
potential there. I'm on the fence about everybody.
Hey,
I'm
I was
trying to
gonna
trust
say,
nobody.
everybody else we're on the fence about,
Yeah,
right?
including the ones I want to keep. I'm optimistic, but I'm cautious.
Also, so we got a
optimistic.
side at him too. We got a side at him too.
Yeah. Oh, Buttigieg. I'm on the fence about
We're
Buttigieg.
always side-eyeing booty juice.
Because
all the time.
he says some good things, but I ain't seen a whole lot.
It's that McKinsey training.
Yeah.
Yes.
The 3 main points.
Yes.
As an advocate for transit and urbanism, he says some amazing things, and I'm like, but you're gonna anytime now, right?
There was also that sketchiness. Wasn't he mayor of, was it St. Louis?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't
No,
mayor
it
of
was
St.
Gary
Louis.
somewhere. Gary
somewhere out
or
in the
Indiana.
West.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
There was
Indiana.
that sketchiness that always makes me question.
Also, the police there, and there are some issues, and yeah, because mayors are just bound to be terrified of the police.
No matter what. No matter what.
We like to think the police are the mayor, but
But all right.
Unlike my illustrious guest,
South Bend.
There we go.
Gary, South Bend, whatever.
Bossier on the research.
Fact checking.
thank you,
job.
Mr. Fact Checker.
Fact check us.
To disagree with my illustrious compadres here, I would put Biden in the I'm still waiting to see.
Also side-eye.
I'm
All right,
so
fine.
side-eye. I'm believing because he wants to. He's probably going to run again. He's going to be, I think.
Okay, stop.
Because he lied, because he said he was only going to run once, and this is already
This-
why he can go to
I just
hell.
want to say,
I was.
I just want to say,
Keeps on.
they are not trying to run this man again. He needs to take a rest.
Granted, but he is a politician, and he's a good politician,
He's a good
and
politician.
there's a value to that.
And I'm not saying, and it's hard because I don't want to be ageist and be like, oh, he's
Yes,
old.
exactly.
It's not
'cause I'm
true
old.
necessarily, but it is true that you've been in government for like a generation and a half. That is true.
There is some value to that. Just saying.
I mean, I guess. Go ahead. Who else?
I'm side-eyeing him because I believe that
Yeah.
the progressive side of the party will move him in the right direction.
Oh,
That's
I
what I'm
don't
optimistic
think so.
about.
I agree.
I like the
disagree,
backhanded
but go
compliment, by
ahead.
the way, of he's a politician.
There's value to that. To the outermost circle of hell, I would put Kevin McCarthy. There, I said it.
Forever. Get him the
To-
fuck out of
He
here.
might already be there.
Sell, and truly, and to be honest, he probably is. With those
Yeah,
folk he has
he'll
to
be
deal with MJT and the other crazies and all that madness, for just being so duplicitous and just
Absolutely.
being an obstruction, a problem, and all of that. Who I would put in the circle of heaven, this group besides you all.
Oh, that's nice. I like it.
Probably up there to riff from you, Brandon. Fetterman, being a good man for owning his limitations. It took a while to get there, but he put it out that we are human. So, there I said it.
Okay, so I'll go last. So I am sending to hell all the Republicans who did not disavow the white supremacist rhetoric on that
yes.
committee. What committee was that? Hold on.
I mean,
Is it
like
just
what
one? Which
committee?
one?
Like it's
Which
every
one?
committee.
It was recent.
Oh,
Is it
But
the bank failure one where
The
they were
socialist
saying
one?
that wokeness failed the banks?
Oh,
Woke is
really?
thing, that's
Really?
one. But they did not disavow
That's dumber than I
like
thought.
replacement theory. So they basically, hold on, pull it up.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm sending those motherfuckers to hell because like
Yeah.
every Republican was like, we're just not gonna sign this paper. We're just not gonna sign it. We're just gonna have all the Democrats brought it forward. We're not gonna disavow white supremacy. We're not gonna disavow racism. We're not gonna disavow the white replacement theory, which has no.
That's the
Really
real
any-
critical race
That's
theory.
right. The real one.
Yes, the real craziness.
So I'm sending them all the way to hell because I feel like these people, and along with Kevin McCarthy, even though he was not on that specific committee, but call him to task. Why did you do that as Speaker of the House? That should be a crowning jewel in your tenure. Who am I
Crown
keeping?
jewels.
I'm keeping asterisk most black women who are in Congress.
Yeah.
Most of them, I feel like one of the only places where I see myself reflected in our national landscape is with like Maxine and Ilhan and these for not AOC, but I mean,
Well, she ain't black. You said black.
No,
You
no.
said black.
Be positive on that.
So a lot of people are like, what about AOC? I didn't say AOC. Okay.
You didn't say
So,
people of color.
I didn't say that. I said black.
Okay.
So those I'm always keeping black women asterisk most because there are a couple who have adopted some white supremacist sentiments, and I'm not down with that. And who am I side-eyeing? I mean, literally everyone else from like the national government, state,
That's
regional, county,
That's fair.
city. I'm side-eyeing every other person
That's
because
fair.
I think people get into positions, and I'm talking about at the city level, I'm talking about your fucking neighborhood levels, city levels, county levels, regional levels, state level, up to the national government, federal level. You get in these positions, you sell us a bunch of fucking bill of goods, and then you get in there and you're like, well, I have to be fair to everybody, instead of thinking about how we move towards an arc of justice, an arc that bends towards justice for everyone.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
this idea that you have to be fair to people who are inherently unfair. This
Correct.
idea that you have to be fair to people who have been tearing down the community
Yes.
for so long
Yes.
is a false
Yes.
equilibrium thing
Yes.
for me. It's
Yes.
false.
Yes.
It's a false
Yes.
equitable
Yes.
thing. You do not have to be fair to people who have been tearing down the community for a generation. You do not have to be fair to people who have been literally committing crimes that they've never been punished for. That's all.
Fairness gets in the way of equity.
Fairness
Every
gets in the way of
time.
equity.
Absolutely.
Ooh, say it again. Say it one more
Absolutely.
time.
Fairness gets in the way of equity
Every
every time.
time.
Equity is
And
a
so I
special unique
side-eye
thing.
people who start talking about fairness, but we have to hear both sides. Shut up.
Yes.
No, you don't.
No.
Especially when you know there are certain sides, maybe not one side or another side or whatever y'all want to say, but there are sides of a thing that are hurting people and keeping people subjugated, keeping them in oppression at every level of government. Y'all know who you are. I don't have to mention you, but I will
Clearly.
next show. So, and then, yeah, those are the three, right, that I said?
Yeah.
So parting words, call to action. If people should do a thing, one, what should they do, and how should they get involved in it in order to affect change in their areas?
Lean into I'm sorry, I'll go.
You can go right to the mic. Go ahead.
Lean into discomfort. You know, lean into what is not comfortable. Engage with folk that don't look like you, that don't think like you, and have difficult conversations.
Yes.
Okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think showing up, right? Like a lot of times we talk about social media, like people like say their feelings on social media, but LOL, that doesn't get us anything. Like you actually need to like show up in public spaces. Maybe that's public meetings, maybe that with your local government, but that also can be public meetings with a social group, right? That's like working to make change about something you care about. Even if you don't know what to do, somebody will teach you.
Yeah.
You can show up.
Yes.
Absolutely right.
And I will steal off that since I was just blanking, and I'll say,
It's okay.
if you're going to show up, think global but act local. Like, do not underestimate, the power of your local city council,
Yes.
whatever
Yes.
planning board, whatever committee. Like, you're going to have a lot more effect there. It's nice to go out and, march for nationwide change, but that's not how power gets done. Power gets done from the smallest level up. So.
Absolutely does.
Absolutely right.
Absolutely does.
We march to bring awareness, but we work on these smaller committees to actually affect change.
And keep on showing up.
Absolutely.
Keep on showing
up. Well, this has been enlightening. Did you guys enjoy the panel?
Yeah!
I think they did really well. I thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a special episode of the Black News Beat for the Good at Heart Festival celebrating Anne Frank's life and work. And we'll see you next week for another. Yeah, we have 3 episodes of the Black News Beat this month. See, I made it up to you from February, okay? So don't complain. Don't complain. So you didn't get a carnival episode, but you got 3 episodes in March. We're going to have a secret location. We'll let you know during the week where we're going to be. And we'll see you on, what day is that, the 22nd, I think? Yes, the 22nd for the next episode of Black News Beat. Thank you to my guests. It's been amazing. And we will see you next week.